Welcome back to Integrating Desmos Techniques into the Geometry Classroom. Your presenters are Jessica Clairvoy, Megan Julian, and Kenya Whitney. This professional development is supported by the Secondary Mathematics Professional Development Center at Radford University with funding from the Virginia Department of Education through the Mathematics and Science Partnership Grant Program. Last time we were able to demonstrate what exactly a polygraph is, and we're going to go through a similar thing today, except we're going to actually create our own polygraphs. Our focus is yet again on transformations, SOL 3D. So we will create an activity using transformations, and the hope is that you will take away and create your own activity using the polygraph feature in Desmos. And once again, a polygraph is an interactive activity that provides tools for developing informal language into formal vocabulary. Polygraphs also allow students to ask questions to precisely describe which object their classmates has selected. These are different polygraph activities that you can find on your own for geometry-related activities. We have transformations, circle patterns, triangles, identifying 3D figures, and quadrilaterals. Here's how you would access it. www.desmos.com, and under teacher.desmos.com, you can click on Classroom Activities button. And in this search bar, you can type in polygraphs if you are looking for a polygraph activity, but we are actually going to create our own polygraph at this time. So here we go. You will want to type in desmos.com. Make sure you are signed in. So I'm going to click on right here in the middle, teacher.desmos.com, click on Classroom Activities. And as you can see, I'm already signed in, but make sure you sign in so you can save all of the activities we're going to create. So here we go. You want to go to your activities on the left-hand side, and it will say Custom. Click that. And in Customs, if you look in the right-hand side here, where it says Custom Activities, you'll see New Polygraph. And you'd click that. Now we want to create a title for our polygraph. We're going to title our polygraph Geometric Transformations. And at any time, please feel free to pause the video, to replay, or to start a different part. Let's click Start Building. Here you go. So just like we described in the last video, they do have to select from a variety of graphs here, but we actually have to create these different figures that the students are going to be able to see, and they have to describe using vocabulary words that you've taught them or that you want them to utilize and to make their own words. So let's start with our first graph. We could create a point, 1, 2. Here's the label tool. You can label that point, and if you click on this wrench here, it gives you more options, whether you want to move the label to the left or right side, whether you want it above the point, or if you want it larger. And once you're done, you can click out of that down here. We're actually going to make another point because we want the students to be able to describe what's the relationship between the 2 points. Here's another point. Yet again, we can click on the wrench here. You can make it large, and you can move it above or below the point. I'm going to keep it above. And as we went over, the students will have to describe to the other classmate the difference that occurred between this point and that point. Let's try a different one. Point 1, 2. Click on the label. I want to make it large, and I would like it to be above. Let's also do -1 and -2. Click the label and the wrench tool, and we're going to do above. So the students will have to be able to identify that these points are being reflected across the origin. Or maybe the students may say, a different way to describe this may say it's been translated, or whichever. So the students have options. Let's try something different. Let's do a circle this time. So standard equation for a circle. And we're going to let our radius be 2. Then we're going to come down to the next one. Here we go. So we have 2 circles this time. So the students will have to describe to their partner what was the difference between the 2. So they could have said it was translated. If they used the middle of the circle, they could have said it may have translated 3 units to the right, or maybe if they described this one first, and then there was a difference of 1, 2, 3 units. So they would have to use that to say either it's 3 units right or left, depending on which circle they start with, and then up and down. Let's do another circle one. And another feature I found also, let me go back to this one. You can actually just, to copy, and it does let you go to other graphs and to paste that same function, which we'll keep needing for these 2 examples, and you can manipulate it that way. So all I did was highlight the function I knew I would use more than one time. You can right click, or if that pops up and allows you to do that, you can right click and copy, or you can hit Command C. If you have a MacBook, that will work. So here we go. Let's add in our translations and manipulate this graph here. So this time we want to do x minus 3 squared plus, let's see, y minus 3 squared. Here, and this time, instead of the radius being 2, we could do 1/2. So the students will have to be able to recognize that that's a dilation. And I also noticed that there was a tool where, well, what doesn't work particularly for this one, but another tool where you can use the pointer to pull to kind of stretch and compress figures. So we have our first 4 done. Yep. 12 more to go. Here we go. So we've done 2 points, 2 circles. Let's fill in the rest. So now we've done that. Let's actually, Desmos allows you to import different figures. So I've previously had time to screenshot a couple of figures that I thought the students would enjoy. So the first one I did was I wanted to input a picture of a heart. So all you do is screenshot. So depending on what type of laptop you have, the screenshot settings will be different, but I'm using a MacBook, so I would use Command-Shift-4, then I would take a picture of my target. For example, if I wanted to take a picture of this graph here, I would do Command-Shift-4, then the target goes into place. You would go from one corner to the other, and you hear the shutter sound, and then my picture shows down here on my desktop. So we're going to use a picture of this heart that I found online. Then you just drag and drop it directly into the first slot there. Now we are going to manipulate this by doing whichever one we'd like. So translate, we could do dilate or rotate, even reflect. So I'm going to demonstrate translation. So this is our original picture. You could go here to manipulate the coordinates and the size as well, using center for the middle of it. So you might want to move the center here to 3, 0, or you might want the height to be at 5, or the width at 5, and the height maybe 3, something like that. And the angle is telling you which direction in which you would like it to be. So you might want it to be at 40 degrees, and I know you think that's not 40, but it's using a particular point for the picture that we have. So let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to actually change that back to 0. And I'm going to actually manipulate using the points on the figure. That is a little quicker. So I'm going to manipulate by grabbing the left-hand corner. And the middle allows you to drag the picture to wherever you'd like. So I'm going to make this my starting point for each one of these ones that I have a picture, so the students know this may be my starting point. and then the one I manipulate will be in a different quadrant. That'll make it easier to identify. So that is going to be my standard one. And here is the one that I choose to manipulate. I'm going to go back to my desktop and drag another picture in. And as you can see, it's here. And I'm going to actually make it smaller by clicking one of the corners. Okay. I'll click this one. There we go. By dragging it in. And we can first do a translation. And as you see, as the picture, if I'm making it larger, you can look at the width and the height, the numbers. I'm trying to almost make those identical to the other one. You could just type in the direct number, or you could guesstimate a little bit. So like I see the pictures aren't quite identical. The original one was 3.08, but this one is 4.03. So I'm just going to change that to 3.08 like that. That is close as possible. And now I'm going to drag it to a different quadrant. So that represents a translation. All right, let's keep rolling. Here we go. So we have a translation. Let's click on our next card. So we're going to do the same thing. Go to your desktop, drag a picture directly into Desmos. Next, we're going to do a dilation. So I'm going to click on my figure here, and I'm going to drag one corner in a little bit so I can make it a little bit smaller. There we go. I'm going to put my original figure here. Then I'm going to click in my second box here. This is the one that I will be manipulating. So I click and I drag there, and I would like this time to dilate, which means I want it to be either smaller or larger. So I'm actually going to pull from one of my corners here to make it obviously tiny, and then select the center if you would like to drag it. Or maybe you want it to go here. There we go. All right, let's click on the next card. Take your picture, drag it into Desmos. Yet again, manipulate by dragging one of the corners in. Then I use the center to move it. Now it's in place. So I click on my second bar. I drag another figure into Desmos. This time our goal is to rotate. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so that my rotation actually fits into a different quadrant. There we go. And I'm going to go to angle. So maybe you would like to make it about 90 degrees. And as you see, it's turned a little bit, so I had to adjust my numbers according. So maybe, there we go. At 99 degrees, it's giving me the picture I would like. So I'm going to move that here down to the fourth quadrant, which should obviously be a rotation. There we have it. And the last type is a reflection. So we have those three cards created, and I'm going to go over to the last card on this row. I'm going to yet again drag my picture into Desmos, click on my second bar to drag my, whoa, almost got ahead of myself. First, let me reduce the size of this figure here. There we go. Slide the original using the center into quadrant 2. Next, I'm going to select my second bar and then drag my picture that I would like to manipulate there. So I'm going to actually reduce the size of this one to allow the width to be exactly 5. I am going to move it here just a little bit. And now I found a feature that allows you to flip the picture. If, say, for instance, you select it in the corner, one of the corner ends like here, you hold it, you make it small as possible, and the picture turns upside down. So basically you drag it across, drag it through itself. Did you see what I did there? So I'm gonna do that one more time. So you can select the button you want, drag it directly through the center of the picture, and it turns it. All right, so try to make it about the width the same a little bit, and I'm there a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna move the center, and I'm gonna place it right here, directly under it, so they can see that it is a reflection. And some may describe it as a rotation, but I will depending on what they see. But I'll say this is, for me, this looks like a direct reflection. So there we go. Let's create our next couple of rows using different pictures, just to get the students engaged a little bit. So I have a picture of a car that I like to use. So I'm going to actually drag that directly into Desmos. I'm going to highlight the picture, reduce the size, select the middle, drag and drop to the second quadrant, select my second bar, do the same thing. So first, like we did last time, try to make it the same size, 5.5 it looks like. All right, for the car, we want to translate. So same picture, just move to a different quadrant, drop it there. We have the first one done. Next card, same car, drag and drop, select the second bar. Well, before we do that, let's reduce the size a little bit to about, letting the width be 5.5. Drag and drop. There we go. Second bar here. Drag the picture into Desmos. Select it. This next translation we're going to have is going to be a dilation. So we're going to select one of the corners, make it tinier, select the middle of the drag, and place it right there in the first quadrant. And Desmos will shuffle these so it won't be in the specific same order in which we created it. So let's keep moving. Here we go. Drag and drop. I want to reduce the size of it a little bit. Select the middle of the drag. Once more, select the second bar and drag the same picture into Desmos. This time, it looks as if we want to rotate. So I'm going to reduce the size a little bit. And this time, in order to rotate, you will click on the angle tab here. I believe 99 worked for us last time. There we go. Put that there. That's for our rotation. Feel free to rotate the car in any direction or any way you'd like to. All right, last one for the car is going to be a reflection. So drag and drop yet again, reduce the size. Select my second bar, drag and drop once more, reduce the size. And we would like to reflect this. So this time I'll drag this corner over. And let me see what it looks like if I change my angle to 99. It's not as great as I hoped for. Nope, we are going to keep it the same. Whoa. There we go. Let me actually change my, there we go. So let me flip it over. Boom. Little larger, and there. All right, last row, I decided to use a picture from a Fortnite skins. So it's a game called Fortnite for the students like to play, and this is one of the skins they have up there. This is one of the kind of the outfits students can possibly obtain. So I know it'll be familiar to them. Drag the same picture, we'll do the same transformations. First one is just to translate. It's this quadrant. There, last 3 cards. So we're going to drag the Fortnite character there. All right, let's see which ones have we not done. So we have translation, dilation. Next we have rotation. And last one is reflection. And we are almost done. So let's see. There, click on the second tab, drag and drop. This one is a reflection. See how I would like to him look. Let's see. Can go across like so. There we go. A little smaller. Okay, let me make it a little bit bigger. See, it's this corner. And the center is a little off. Maybe that's what it is. That'll work. Okay, one last feature. Make your activity public if you would like for other teachers to be able to access it. Show axes and grid lines. So that's the option. You could remove that. So for some of these cards, just so that students can see, it doesn't necessarily have to be up there, you know, for the students to be able to identify what happened to them. It's however you choose, but that's the option. So I'm going to click it to add it back. But that's what it looks like. So now we've done that. Each card is done. If you have a multiple or one that's been duplicated, they will let you know and you won't be able to click this button done. So let's go ahead and click done. All right, here's our activity. So other teachers are able to use it and to manipulate it. And I can show you again on a different slide, you know, how to do it. So feel free to email us, let us know what you think. If you have any questions about polygraphs, about how to create your own activity for your classroom and you need help doing that, feel free to email any of us. Thank you again. We appreciate you. Have a good night.